Namaste everyone. We'll start with Truth Eternal. Same chapter. I think it's the longest lasting chapter so far on spirituality. It's the third chapter from this book, Truth Eternal. Let's offer our prayers. Okay, let's begin. The luminous ring belongs to the ignorant and the spiritual. The dark ring belongs to the stupid and the materialistic. And the rings of the combined state which is in the middle belong to the fickle-minded and the intermediary. At the top is the spirit, at the bottom is the matter. In the middle is the state of combination of matter and spirit, which is mind. It is all about, I think, when he talks of mind, we have to take it in a broader sense as all subtle bodies. So on one side is soul at the higher part of the circle. Bottom, the body part. In the middle, what Lalaji calls it as the combination of light and darkness. It can also be correlated, compared with Sat, Raj and Tam. So that luminous, mixed and dark, Sat, Raj and Tam. You can also say gross, subtle and causal. So this is one way of explaining, but let us see where he is taking us with this idea of luminosity and darkness. The zones or dimensions of these two states which results in the third. The mind embodies the mixed state and receives impression from above and below, due to which it gets its movement. So when we have to attend to certain physical need, mind will come out. The thinking faculty will attend to what is needed at that moment. Physically needed item will be attended. Mind will give orders for the physical parts to react. It also receives orders from above, the causal body, as and when required, which are very rare though. They come especially when we are doing anything unnatural. It creates a state in us that will demand immediate attention to either detour from our projected trajectory, that now you better detour, you are on a wrong track. This is what we call voice of conscience, the voice of your soul, voice of your Atman. It doesn't speak, it creates a state, a feeling, a condition in your heart. And since mind is always busy, sometimes dwelling in the soul, remaining absorbed there, and sometimes obsessed with the body. And that's why such minds are called fickle. As it is a mixed state, being in the middle, it has the natural qualities of affecting similarity, equality, and harmony. So when it turns its face downwards, it becomes likewise, and being fickle, it absorbs the influence for doing stupid things along with stupidity. Then it is called one engaged in actions and assumes a body. So these things are very easy to understand, that when our attention is focused downwards, means towards the physical plane. There is nothing wrong when our attention is towards the needs of the physical body. There is nothing wrong with it. But for a moment, you have somehow moved away from your internal attention towards the soul, inwardness. So there are inwardness and outwardness. Now, when I practice this outwardness while maintaining my inwardness, that is spirituality, that is meditation. That while I am fully aware of my surrounding, my thoughts, and yet I am able to meditate on the presence of divine light in my heart. So I am able to maintain this inwardness and outwardness at the same time. That is the mastery over my attention. So, when this thing happens, you are neither becoming urdhvagami or adhogami, neither evolutionary nor devolutionary. You are maintaining a balance, equal attention, which Babaji Maharaj talks about. Pay equal attention to both spiritual as well as the material life. Material life, from this perspective, is to pay attention to my duties towards my body and all those who are associated with me. That is bhautik life, material life. Spiritual life, we all understand it so well, how we improve our consciousness by adjusting our material life. See, material life is not against us, but how we take the challenges of material life and take it to our advantage in propelling us into the spiritual realm. See, that is the beauty of Sahaj Marg, that we are encouraged to practice both, integrate both. Spiritual life is not at a cost of material life, nor material life at a cost of spiritual life. We brilliantly love to integrate it. And this challenge of integration is our tapasya. That is our penance. What is the use of bhakti? What is the use of knowledge if that knowledge and bhakti is not reflected in your karma, in your action? Then this devolution starts. Degradation begins. It is as simple as that. Last time we talked about akraman. Akraman means how we move out of our own boundaries and attack. Crossing our boundaries and entering someone else's boundary is aggression. What is my inner boundary? As long as it gives me peace of mind, that is my Lakshman Rekha. Crossing that, I am endangering my existence. If I cross those limits, my boundaries, my limits, it is akraman on oneself, creating stress for oneself. It's like taking unnecessarily teka, So this akraman can be avoided. See. So to my understanding, pratyahar and pratikraman, meaning you are retreating yourself. You are going inward. Pratyahar, your attention is going inward now. Instead of going outward, you are going inward. Instead of becoming adhogami, you are becoming urdhvagami. So that is the beauty of keeping our attention inward and remaining meditative. This is all about constant remembrance. See how beautifully our practice integrates all these little things Lalaji talks about. And this is where the mastery of Babaji Maharaj is, that all these principles he kept it in mind and offered us a simple practice of meditation that propels us inward, creates a spiritual state, meditative state. As long as we can remain meditative, it is constant remembrance, and working in that state of constant remembrance beautifies our action even in the bhautik world, even in the material world. So thus we are able to apply the spiritual essence, spiritual knowledge, spiritual qualities in our day-to-day activities. In the same way, when it turns its face towards the spirit, which is called the causal body, it absorbs spirituality and becomes spiritual. There is ignorance in the spirit or the soul, and as such, it becomes similar and equal to it and is called ignorant. Now remains a third and its own condition. We must remember in this connection that as it is the sum total of mixed condition of light and darkness, it gets motion when it remains in its own position due to the effect of both the rings, the top and bottom. So it becomes fickle in this peculiar circumstance and is called as such. Why have the people of this world been afraid to say that the soul is ignorant? There have been many wise saints, prophets, and devotees in this world so far, but none of them has ever said that the soul is ignorant, because Lalaji gives 4 reasons. Number 1, to deviate from the old and trodden path would take their breath away. Number 2, those who wanted to say something new feared infamy. They were more mindful of the punishment inflicted by society that dared not come out of the social or religious circle. Getting a bad name for the community, religion, or society was considered to be the worst calamity. And 3, all of them have said so, no doubt, but none has said it openly. None removed the veil. A curtain of mystery and secrecy was dropped on the face of reality. Even if they hinted at this, they did so in their own inner circle and to a limited society. One who understood it eulogized it, and one who did not understand it also praised it. Last, the 4th reason, they introduced such practice and meditation by which the mind would rise high and the heart would become magnanimous. Contact with the pure and the holy was considered essential. It may be just possible that with such practices, a person would know reality of their own accord. However, no clarification or elucidation of reality was made. They restricted their mind only to such proverbs and stories, but reality cannot be known if there is fear or skepticism. Not knowing a thing is ignorance. Knowing is the function of the mind, which is in the middle and is a combined state. Where there is a mixture and combination, there arises differential categories. How can there be any necessity and possibility of contemplation and thinking where there is only one thing? Spirit and matter, both are devoid of attributes of knowing. Or even if there is this attribute, it is in the seed form. The mind alone can pierce through it and is capable of knowing them. There is oneness and steadiness in the spirit, which is called the causal body. When the mind leans towards it, it absorbs its impression and becomes like it. So this is again all about how we associate with the body as well as our soul, the causal body. It is this attention that makes all the difference. It is still not very clear why Lalaji Maharaj calls this soul ignorant, because there is nothing to learn from that. What can you learn from such entity which expresses nothing? Perfection expresses nothing but perfection. But in that perfection, if there was even a bit of imperfection, then we can understand. This is our expertise. Human beings understand defects so well. So there is ignorance of the knowledge of the soul. Another example I like to give is when you go to sleep. What happens from our consciousness, the usual consciousness with which we interact? Slowly as we lie in the bed, and then from a dream state or, REM or REM state of sleep, and go slowly into a deep sleep state, our awareness touches the soul. Even a bit of deepest sleep refreshes us so much. But what do we gather out of that deep sleep? As long as we are interacting like this, we are aware of many things. At the same time, we miss out many things too. What happens in the dream? When we wake up, few things are remembered. And as we go into a deep sleep state, nothing is remembered. We don't know what has happened inside. There is no knowledge whatsoever. This attention, awareness, merging in the soul, as Lalaji says, absorbs its quality. So there is no knowledge of whatsoever happens during the deep sleep. But there is no knowledge in the soul. If there was any knowledge, if there was any intellect, if there was any thinking involved in the sleep, deep state, then you would have absorbed those qualities. But in the absence of which, we can only conclude that soul is ignorant. Thank you. So we meet again next Sunday.